What is going on, guys? Sly here, and thanks for stopping by and checking out another Mass Effect Andromeda news update. Now, since my first update last week, I'm going to start posting a weekly news update of the most significant things going on in the Mass Effect world or the community. So, if you're a Mass Effect fan, and how could you not be, then I would love to have you join us here at Sly Nation, and this way you can stay up to date on everything important in the Mass Effect universe. Now, I'll be making an update video every week, and if something comes out that is huge news, like a trailer, interview, gameplay leak, whatever, then you can be sure that I'll have an in-depth review and a breakdown soon after it's revealed. So, once again, thanks for watching, and can't wait to have you be a part of the nation. Alright, well, let's get into this week's update. Now, unfortunately, there hasn't been any large, impressive chunks of news to sink my teeth into, but there are a few different things to go over. First of all, the countdown continues. We are at 62 days, 2 months exactly until release, so that is definitely something good to see. Although I'd probably pay about $10,000 and 4 of my toes for it to be tomorrow. Make it today and I'll throw in a finger, but that is today only. Anyways, let's get to it, guys, and first of which is a clarification and a mistake that went around the internet last week. The clarification has to do with the release date. Now, for the US and a few other select countries, the release date is officially March 21st, which is a Tuesday. Then a worldwide release on March 23rd. But beforehand, you can play a small portion of the game and assumingly multiplayer as well through the EA and Origin Access service. EA Access is on console and Origin Access is for the PC. Now, the exact date that it goes live has not been revealed for the early access, but it can be anywhere from 3 full days to only 1 day. And as big as Andromeda will be, I'm putting my bets on the whole play it a full day early only on EA Access. You know, that whole kind of deal. So I'm in no way advertising for EA Access or Origin, but honestly, guys, it's pretty awesome buy. So that was just a clarification because some people had questions regarding to headlines that had false information, strictly saying it was March 23rd for everyone. And speaking of false information, last week's news update included a section where I found some great deals concerning European copies of the game, most notably the UK versions. It showed Andromeda being 30% off if you pre-ordered, and it was shown on major websites. Unfortunately, that was a mistake on the website's part. Thanks to BSN Social Network for the comment, and after the mistake was caught, it was end up fixed, so it is indeed not on sale, or it will not be, and you're going to have to cough up the full price, just like the rest of us. Well, you know, depending on where you buy it from. So, let's keep this going to what's new this week, and we're going to start off with some tech. Now, since they have confirmed HDR as well as Dolby Vision will be supported in Mass Effect, questions have been popping up about consoles, with Project Scorpio set to debut this year as the first console to set the extremely high standard of native 4K gaming. Will Mass Effect Andromeda support Scorpio after release? Producer Mike Gamble said, given our spring release date, I'm not exactly sure what we're going to be able to support at that time, but we have a strong service plan for Mass Effect that will continue well past our release date. If we do a Game of the Year edition or a future edition or something like that, it's something we definitely consider looking at. So it looks like the thought is at least there to keep Scorpio fresh in the minds in case of a Scorpio release while Andromeda is still relevant, you know, with DLCs, add-ons, etc. There is also no plan in the works for the Nintendo Switch, but when the Switch launches and everyone all of a sudden can't stop talking about it, Gamble goes on to say, who knows, we never want to close doors like that. Now, of course, Scorpio is a very ambitious project, but depending on the price and the final specs, it sounds to be a beast of an upgrade. However, if you have a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One S and it's hooked up to a decent TV that does support HDR, you realize that HDR is already a pretty significant upgrade. Alright, so next on the list, we're going to dive into multiplayer. Now, like I said last week, we know that it is still a 4-player co-op and it's centered around the theme called Strikeforce. Devs confirmed that multiplayer and single-player will intertwine with a huge meta-story swirled around it. And from that, things you earn in multiplayer will be allowed to be brought back into single-player campaign and used for the rest of your travels. On top of that, you can accrue mission funds, which are separate from credits, to buy certain things in-game to help you along the way. One thing I wish I could have found was a super old tweet from a Reddit post about Mass Effect Andromeda multiplayer leak, and that was like from over a year ago. But it talked about there being two types of multiplayer options. One called the Strikeforce, which could be accessed in-game through the pause menu, which as we now know turns out to be true, and another type in which I can't remember the name they gave it, but it was a second type of multiplayer labeled as the original Horde mode. Now basically it said that there will be a quick in-game multiplayer you can access from anywhere in the game or campaign, and then the other one is a separate multiplayer mode in which you have to access it through the main menu. But it will be the classic Horde mode style multiplayer from Mass Effect 3. Also, if you look back to the Game Informer info dump and reread some of those articles, things start to make sense. And on top of that, these leaks look to be halfway true as well. As you can see here, which is a snippet from the GI Infosplosion, mission funds you obtain in multiplayer have quote-unquote tendrils going out into the rest of the game. And that's funny, because headlines all over the internet right now are just catching on to this, and it's been in this super old interview for forever now. After that, it says that there's an option in the pause menu to jump straight into multiplayer. Furthermore, you have the possibilities to send teams to complete some kind of side mission, or you can do it yourself in multiplayer. So that kind of fits the bill of not forcing players to go into multiplayer if they don't want to, but still being able to make it a part of the story. So this to me sounds a lot like Spartan Ops. If I throw on my tinfoil hat here for a second and dabble a little bit in some theory, if you put recent news, leaks, and tweets all together, it sounds like there will indeed be two types of multiplayer. The Strikeforce multiplayer and then the old school Horde mode style. The Strikeforce sounds like it's a way to do mini missions online with friends, and it could be linked with how we upgrade the Nexus, like going out and securing areas for resources, materials, or perhaps even security or technology reasons. But while we're out, we find stuff ourselves that we can then bring back into the campaign, as well as get awarded mission funds that we then use to buy stuff in the store. So just like in Dragon Age Inquisition, instead of going into the keep and then calling everyone to the table to send out assignments, you could actually go and do the assignments yourself in multiplayer. Then that would impact the Nexus and then physically rebuild it. I think that would impact your crafting ability and all kinds of other interrelated things like that. All the while, Classic Horde mode is still there on the main menu, ready for some nostalgic fun. But if you don't want to play, you can send your own Strikeforce like in Dragon Age, and it will auto-complete in a certain amount of time. And like I said guys, in disclosure, this is 100% unconfirmed speculation based on everything I've been reading here recently, but if it's true, it sounds like something I could really get into. So, moving on to more speculation, GameSpot recently had a video where three guys expressed their concerns about the game's state of readiness. They go on to say that they are pretty confident the game will be delayed even further, crediting the mass exodus of creative talent, the lack of information to players, and the lack of shown gameplay that is 100% polished and finished, and hearing the word soon for the past year. Now, as you can imagine, this sent the internet into a downward spiral. Babies started drinking whiskey, the sun was starting to explode, and I could have swore the Four Horsemen were on the horizon. That is until Ian Fraser stepped in with a confident tweet simply saying, 5 years, not rushed. Period. Boom. 3 words, 1 number that silenced the masses. Now, I can totally understand everyone's thoughts, though, guys, because, I have them myself like 4 times a day, and they do bring up good points. BioWare has had articles after article of well-known devs leaving the company, and it's not like only 1 or 2 left during production. On top of that, what we do get to see is super short, and at times looks unfinished. The longest gameplay we had to look at so far made more headlines for the messed up face rather than the gameplay itself. And for a game that's been under the pen for the past 5 years, at least some parts, no matter how small they are, should be 100% finished by now. The game ships in 2 months. So with that, if you're wondering why BioWare has not been showing a ton of stuff like they did for Mass Effect 2 and 3, well, they simply said that this was a choice that they all made, to hold all of the good stuff until the very end like Fallout did. They want to be able to surprise all of us with a ton of stuff, finished, completed, looking great in a small amount of time. However, some argue that now is the time when this was supposed to happen. Either way, guys, they've delayed this game before, and it was only in terms of a few extra days. So if they were really that behind, that pressed for time, the delay would have been at least weeks, if not months. So don't worry, guys, I think, personally, we're good to go. Moving along here, Funko Pop recently made news with its announcement of Mass Effect Andromeda collectibles. However, the biggest news wasn't that they were being made and sold. The biggest news is that they list two huge things we never knew. First is Liam's last name or surname, which you can see right here is Costa. So, Liam Costa. I mean, that's a perfect name for an ex-cop, right? On top of that, if you scroll down a little further, you can see the name Jal or Yal. Anyway, given that whoever this is being made into a collectible, it's probably an important character to take note of. Whoever it is, thank you Funko Pop for the update. Next, let's move into some crafting. Now, like I said at my speculation tantrum a little bit earlier, crafting could be a big part in Mass Effect Andromeda. Lead designer Ian Fraser said that crafting will be quite a bit different than the crafting in Dragon Age Inquisition, which is a relief to a lot of people out there who hated the latest installment of Dragon Age. But on top of that, Ian spoke of crafting Krogan-style hammers, dedicated melee weapon slots, and also naming your crafted beauties. As you can see in this tweet, devs had fun naming their own weapons. The Krogan hammer is an homage to Galaxy Quest, and dev Justin Perez named his assault rifle Fast and his sniper rifle Furious. So the good news is that we are getting more control over our crafting capabilities. Just the thought of making it possible to rename our weapons should show you the stance behind crafting. Tons of modifications and tons of possibilities. Another tweet later goes to tell that the Omni Blade is your first equipable and upgradable melee weapon. But later on, hammer, swords, I don't know, maybe even axes, those could all be possibilities. Now the good thing about these melee weapons and the slot is that they are used in conjunction with our weapons and not instead of. So you don't have to drop a primary weapon slot just so you can equip, and use a cool heavy hammer that is a tactical nightmare and really a terrible choice. But dude, it's a freaking hammer. And our final little tidbit of news, guys, straight up banging. Now, I'm sure you've seen a few posts or retweets about this, but Mass Effect sex was the major headline over the weekend. As a fellow gamer asked, straight up cavewoman style, who can I bang? And the answer says it all. So many people to bang, and all of it's great. After there was a lengthy discussion on the BioWare forums about the amount of people and time it actually takes to make these intimate scenes. So next time you see an alien in lingerie, think about the effort that went into making that butt. But seriously, guys, just Google Mass Effect Andromeda and sex, or if you're at work or school, type in romance in place of, you will get headline after headline of major websites going crazy about all this alien booty. So, let's get ready to rumble! But that about does it for me, ladies and gents. It was indeed a slow week in terms of news, but a few things did pop up, and most interesting to me is this new Jal character. Now, I'm willing to bet that it's another alien race we encounter, because, we had 11 species to interact with within the Milky Way universe. So there has to be more than just 2 or 3 main races in Andromeda. Either way, time will ultimately tell, and from what I've been hearing, PC specs should also be popping up here very, very soon. And as soon as they do, expect to see it blasted on Twitter at SlyNation, so feel free to follow me on there to stay up to date on everything Mass Effect Andromeda, The Division, as well as Destiny. But that's it for me, y'all. Always an honor to bring you all the gaming news about the game we love. Thanks for watching, and keep an eye out for more videos coming out of SlyNation here very soon, as well as a pre-launch trilogy Let's Play. That's going to start up here very soon. But until then, this is your boy Sly, and keep being awesome.